Hi, I'm Omar Small, and you're now kicking it with Brother Smalls. I'm here at Alvin and Friends restaurant in New Rochelle with the dynamic duo, the owners of this great establishment, Gwen and Alvin Clayton. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Nice to be with you, Omar.
Yes. It's so great to to see you guys. I say that all the time. It's really great to see you, but I'm really excited about you kind of giving us some time. And today it's a Monday. I know it's really a time where you kind of do a lot of different things. So I really appreciate you guys spending some time with us. I really wanted to. I've known you for quite some time, and I've always been like an admirer. Quite honestly, of you guys as business people, as a married couple, because we need models. We need people who we can aspire to, that are kind of living a lifestyle that I think is really helpful. And so I've always looked at you guys like that, and so I'm really appreciative to kind of spending some time. How long have you been in New Rochelle?
19 years, I believe now. We came in, 2001?
Like 19 winters,
Yeah, 2001, and so we're going into, 19 years, yeah.
2001 we moved.
2001, and so when you came to New Rochelle, did you come with the restaurant, or was it, how long, have you had the restaurant?
Well, we lived in Los Angeles, and but I was never a big fan of Los Angeles. I always wanted to be back east, and we were partners in a restaurant out there with some celebrities: Denzel Washington, Eddie Murphy, Debbie Allen. Brad Johnson was had put the project together, and that restaurant had closed down. And we wanted to educate our kids back east. So Gwen's best friend lived here in New Rochelle, and we'd always come to visit whenever we came back east. And so we loved the town. So we moved back once the restaurant closed. And I mean, I always had the idea to open my own restaurant, but I needed to find the right place and the elements and all that stuff. And then 9/11 happened right around that time. And I was modeling at the time, so I took my time to find the location and place.
You mentioned something about partner, and so I'm so excited about asking this question. Where did you guys meet? And when did you know like when you met Gwen that she was the one for you? How did that all happen?
Not overnight.
I'll let you go first.
He was a working guy. I had a job in Manhattan, and one of my good friends owned a very popular restaurant called Rex. And my girlfriends and I were big supporters and advocates of the restaurant long before it got busy and popular. And then as soon as it got popular, we started seeing like famous people, Alvin being one of them. And he was in one night with a very popular face in fashion. I don't know if I should say her name, but she's beautiful. She's on Atlanta Housewives, Cynthia Bailey. And I thought, oh my God, look at that beautiful couple. Yeah. Wow. I mean, they literally were it was like electrifying. They were stunning. Two brown, tall, beautiful people. Are you kidding? They were just like, wow. So I see him, and I'm coming back from a play with a good friend, and we sort of how you kind of catch eyes across the floor, but you don't know, and you let it go.
Yeah.
And it was just for a second. Like I felt like I kind of knew him, but I didn't know him. I didn't know he was a model. I don't know what made me look, but I did. So following the next week, we're in the same spot. Of course I am, because I'm always with my girlfriends there. And he had a mutual friend that was having a big party night, and he said, hey, he's talking to Alvin, and I guess Alvin was like, I've seen that girl before. He goes, oh, you don't know Gwen? And that was kind of how it started. So we started talking, we had a great conversation, and I sort of thought, he wouldn't, be one of those things where we'd call like 2 months later, but nope, he called right away, and we had our first date at Time Cafe, and you know, it was definitely
comedy night.
chemistry, definitely chemistry right away. But I sort of thought, oh, this is the kind of guy, you know, you get friendly with, but you don't get too serious with.
Yeah.
But there were so many more things to him, so it just natural. Within 2 weeks, I said to my girlfriends, now that's a guy I could marry. Because he was old-fashioned, chivalry, a gentleman. He was just, you know, all the things to look for. And he was smart and funny, told good jokes.
That's your story?
That's my story. And I'm
That's kind of, I mean, our eyes met, you know, I guess she was with some friends, I was with some friends, and our eyes met. I was like, wow, that's a beautiful girl. And so the following week when I did meet her, it was a week before my birthday. And the guy, he was a promoter, so he was getting ready to do a birthday party for me. And so I invited Gwen to the party. And she came, and you know, I was a model at the time. And so she came in a little bit late, so I was already seated and with a bunch of like attractive women, model girls around me or whatever. And I saw that I could feel like she was a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so actually, I left my birthday party and we went to the coffee shop.
Wow, that is amazing.
I took her to the coffee shop, and then we had a date for a serious date.
Wait, did you hear that, America? Wait a second. He left his birthday party to go out with this. Well, you smart man,
right? Exactly.
Listen, I didn't look like them.
And we've been together ever since. What, 29 years now?
Yeah.
So
wow.
We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary last week. Last year.
Congratulations. Did you always know that you wanted to be in business together? Was that a part of the calculus? Was that part of the, you know?
No, I mean, she did her own thing. I mean, I wanted to do my restaurant, and it just turned out that, you know, I needed help at a certain time, and she, you know, being the supportive wife, kind of jumped in and kind of, you know, did the things that I don't really like to do, and she knows how to do well.
I had a skill set for entrepreneurship, so like putting money and putting things together from scratch, and that's what this over here required. Over there in the little spot, he had it down. He had the formula cold.
Yeah.
But coming over here was a different animal. We had to meet with contractors all the time. We had to, I mean, just to kind of clean house and get the project really going strong.
Sure.
I feel like it happened when I came on, because he couldn't manage that and the project. Mm-hmm. So when I came on, we picked the right team, mm-hmm. and they was like, okay, so one of you is one we're going to deal with every day. And so I let him run the restaurant over there. But he had a very strong vision. So my idea was to keep that vision alive with the team, and mm-hmm. so it was a back and forth. But we had a really great team I mean, I think part of any success is just knowing who to pick, who to put on your team with you.
Okay, well,
that was a big help.
Well, I mean, obviously you guys are smart people. You guys chose each other to be on the team first and foremost, so that's great. But I guess the question I have is, with running the business, are there particular, you said, a skill set that you have that you kind of stay in that particular skill set, and Alvin kind of does, you know, his thing, and do you stay in those particular lanes, or does it, you know, crisscross as the need dictates?
I find for me it stays better if I stay in my lane and just, you know, there's certain things that I do without discussing with him, but certain, you know, most of the big business things we discuss together. We work well together with Teresa Leghorn too. She helps us a lot with all the PR. We all kind of have their little things that make the ecosystem work. I would say on my best day, I couldn't do everything that he does, and on his best day, he couldn't do everything I do. We both have different, you know, and we work together because the business requires it, not because we're like madly in love with the, you know, I actually prefer to have my own gig outside, but I would say that when you commit to something where you know, all your resources are tied in and there's a lot on the line, whatever you were thinking, it becomes a family affair quickly.
Wow.
Because it's very vulnerable to predators, to wrong decisions. So that's where I, do the legwork on things that I think benefit us.
And, I'll just add to that, exactly what she said. But at the end of the day, there has to be a person that's in charge of it. And the one thing that we've done from this restaurant from the time we started, it's like, okay, it's my restaurant, and the final decisions are ones that I make, because my whole thing is like, if I'm going to fail at this, I'm going to fail on my accord, not because I didn't go with my instinct or whatever. And I'm willing to take the responsibility for that if there's a failure with it. But you have to know, okay, who is doing the job, and she gives me that, that freedom to
freedom.
do that.
There's no choice. There's no. He's his own. There's all the decisions, stop and start. There's no negotiating with that idea. Now he's very open-minded and he's listening, and we work together. But I never put anything underneath him that I said, he'll be okay. I don't do that.
No, I mean, on a football team, you don't have 3 different quarterbacks, and people say, hey, I want to play quarterback. No, there's one quarterback, and he's the leader of the team at that particular time. So I definitely get that. And I guess the question that I had regarding working together, what's the best thing that, what's the benefit of working with your wife? What's the benefit that you work with your husband?
Well, when you this business takes a lot of time. We do 18-hour days sometimes, and at least we get to see each other.
No,
and
we do.
And we interact with each other during the course of the day. I mean, sometimes it's more stress than others, but at least we're in communication with each other. And we have a rule. We drive home at night, and when we pull up in that driveway, we're like, okay, no more restaurant conversation.
Yeah, we have to turn off, right?
We cut it off, and
if you start talking about
it's home and family. I'm like, hey, I don't want to hear about it. There's nothing that can change tonight. We can just take it up in the morning. So once we get to our driveway, the restaurant is done for that evening, and then it's just family and us, our time.
I mean, I would say we went through some strong growing pains with it. I would say for me at this stage, having worked, I think it did kind of what once my kids start getting in the trenches, they start really understanding how difficult and how important it was for us to be a team and communicate in a way that was respectful, so the staff could see that that one doesn't over the other. And I mean, if there was a camera on this from the start,
we'd have a good series.
It would have been an unthinkable reality.
Oh my God!
Really crazy.
Actually, somebody had asked this initially.
I'm serious. Now, it's TMI, but just keeping it real. But in all of that, even when I was so angry with him over something that had happened or something that I saw, I said, you know what? There was a compassionate part that was like, he just doesn't see what I'm seeing. I'm gonna have to just give it a minute. He's not seeing it yet, but when he sees what I'm talking about, and so there was this level of he was trying to just run this business the best he knew with the resources in the town. Because this is not New York. It's little, So we were becoming a destination spot, a target spot. It was all of the above, and for the most part, we had a town that really embraced us and supported us, and that was great. We didn't see that coming, but I think when we moved in, we were like yes to everything.
Yeah.
So when it came time we opened, everybody was like, coming to Alvin and Gwen's. They knew us. And so it wasn't like we were strangers coming in, opening a restaurant.
Right.
We had the benefit of tons of relationships with different kinds of people from all over the neighborhood. Not just our neighborhood, but being on board with the children's library, or over at Lincoln Park with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. We had
Yeah, I think we were
We
part
had-
of the community. So
We
you know.
loved, love. So it was like an opportunity to kind of like bring up kids and bring in talent from right from the neighborhood.
Sure.
We didn't have to,
Sure.
so that made it easy. I guess what made it hard were, outside agendas. This kind of business is a little bit of a journeyman, so you don't get too attached to your staff. The staff are very human. They have their moments and then they flatline and
Sure.
they become they become a liability. And that's when you kind of have to go, all right,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to change your position, just different things. So those things were probably the biggest stress. It wasn't so much he and I trying to, it wasn't that. Our stress was trying to
Get our
make sure-
get our
make sure the
employees on board
business-
with what we see,
make
and
sure
what the
the
vision
business,
for what this should be.
yeah, by any means necessary, like make sure this thing stayed up. It was like a Titanic ship somewhere. It would hit an iceberg in July.
Go. Yeah, I wanted to thank you for that. I just, for couples that are looking
Yes.
to get into a business together, what advice would you give them?
Make sure that your relationship is a solid one, especially if you're going into a business can be stressful.
Got it.
Because there's so many things that you deal with. If you have separate jobs, okay, one person might be dealing with their things at work and the other dealing with their things at work, and it's not connected. And when you come home, you have the compassion of your loved ones to kind of like, how was your day kind of thing. If you're both going through that stress at the same time and you're not connected and have a strong foundation, it could probably be trying. I mean, fortunately for us, we never really had to go through that, but I think I told you earlier that I fired my son one time. I fired my wife like how many times, honey?
And I quit. And I quit 10 many times. But I was like, I had a nice idea, but you can't fire me. No, but I would say that, it goes a little bit more into kind of what the business is. And it really works better when your lanes are a little defined. If that's not done up front, you can get into some crocodile water fast. You can, and you'll fight for your spot. And believe me, I've done it.
Wow.
I've done it. So, and it's not pleasant. And but those are you learn the most from your mistakes.
Sure.
So it becomes. I just think that's the reality is in a perfect world. Yeah, you're a couple. But if you both come in with that, one is going to have to kind of say, all right, at the end of the day, this is going to be the final, and you have to come to an agreement on that.
Yeah.
Or if you say, listen, we're going to agree together, you have to. I think there's rules that you should establish. Don't wait till you get into business and then try and do it.
Got it.
So I would sit down with. That would be to me, if I had to do it all over again, we didn't know a lot. So if you don't know, you jump right in that water and you just start swimming and you'll make it work, and that's kind of how it happened with us. But I would say if I were to do it again, and I would recommend that, there's like a better understanding of what you're getting into. And then also a time when one of you's away from the business and one's not, like where you kind of have a cover of each other.
Yeah.
So then that person can have some downtime and
Perspective.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure,
It's
sure.
important that you have like self-care in your business, and you can't do it if you're trying to just
Wow.
gladiate the whole time.
Got
It just
it.
doesn't work.
Can't just wing it always.
You just can't trust that that's going to work out too much. You have to be intentional. I think works better.
I have some more questions, but before I get to those, I wanted to, let you know I spoke to my mom yesterday, and I told her I was going to be with you guys, and she was just like, "Oh my goodness, great!" So, and she loves you, Alvin.
I love you, Mom.
Yeah, she loves, but she called me back, and then she said, "Well, Omar, I'm thinking about Alvin's, and I'm thinking about Alvin's and friends, and I'm thinking about plate and canvas." And so I just throw that out there. What does that mean? Plate. I have some ideas about what that means.
Yeah.
Plate and canvas. But what does that mean to you?
I mean, I don't know if it probably meant like, since we have the food thing and then there's all the art around and, if that's a concept of, we do, what is, with Chamora? We do sip and paint here at the restaurant. We do a lot of different events here at the restaurant. That's one of the things that we do where, we have a teacher that teaches beginners how to do art. I've done it in the past as well, but I prefer just helping out rather than actually teaching it like that. And then people have a meal or whatever, so it's a part of the whole experience and the ambiance of the space, and once again giving back to the community and having them involved.
I definitely think that's like it's like a play on words where it's dining and art.
Yeah.
This and on the broadest spectrum.
Yeah.
Art meaning canvas, it could be paint, it could be visual arts, it could be I think that's but yeah, it's a neat word actually.
No, and it's presentation. I mean, as soon as you walk in the door, you get your presentation is amazing. So
Thank
you
you.
get to see these beautiful people, or everyone.
You know what?
Here.
I mean,
yeah, it's wonderful.
It's interesting that you said that, like, as soon as you walk in the door, because for me, I tell our staff that when I go to a restaurant, you could be the best restaurant in the world. That first 10 seconds when you greet me, when I come into your restaurant, sets up my whole feeling and my experience for that meal.
Yeah.
And so, with a name like Alvin and Friends, you got to be welcoming. It's almost like coming to a friend's home.
Sure.
And so I make sure that my staff realize that people have choices, lots of choices of where they can go, and they choose to come into our establishment. And so we should be as welcoming as possible and be happy, genuinely happy that they're there, because they're affording us to be able to have a lifestyle, to have a job, to have different things. And so I really want our staff to know that.
I think we've done setting sort of our own little examples. Our staff that we've sort of they've been with us for a while. They mirror that. I think organically, you draw what you like, you draw what you live. And so the kind of clientele that come in are people that think like we do, think like you do.
Yeah.
So, like attracts like. I mean, kindred spirits, that'll also be the energy of the people that we ultimately hire.
Got it.
And I think the people that we attract are people that that come into the restaurant, we genuinely, if they could see what we see for them, it's not just, oh, gee, it's a guest. No, it's like, wow, hey, we know their intricate lives, and we have to do a milestone, oh, forget it.
Yeah.
That's when it's different than a regular dining experience.
No, and you get that feeling, and so you get that feeling like you're coming home. You get that feeling like you're visiting family.
Yeah.
You definitely get that feeling, and so no, it's just you don't get that everywhere.
What? One of the biggest compliments that people pay to us is like, you walk in this restaurant and it's an elegant restaurant, okay, and there's sometimes people, they're not sure what kind of restaurant it is, and they come in and they might be in sweats or whatever, and they feel just as comfortable as somebody that's dressed up. And and they tell me their discomfort with how they feel, and I just I make them feel so comfortable. And the next time they want to come back dressed nicely or whatever. But the thing is, it's like there's not a stuffiness or pretentiousness to our restaurant,
right,
even though it's an elegant place.
That's right.
It's like everybody is welcome, and we make them feel like they're part of the experience, and people appreciate that and they come back. No, I've never felt or met anyone in this restaurant that didn't feel comfortable, regardless of what their situations were. So.
I would definitely agree with that. I think what I like too is that, when you sort of, I think when we built this, we had sort of like a Manhattanish look to, it was very different than the Westchester Steakhouse. It was like kind of New York Soho kind of feel. And so with that, you know, the clientele kind of varied from the very comfortable steakhouse to, but there was a little spot for everybody. And what I think what's interesting about New Rochelle is it has silos of people. And so when you come in here, you're going to see a little bit of all the silos.
Yeah.
There'll be literally, there's no one group that dominates the tapestry. It's everybody. And that includes, you know, kind of our staff. You know, we have just a range of people that work for us. And we also have the kind of guests that, you know, will love pasta and oxtail and they, you know, I haven't tried the jerk duck. And
Yeah, no, we have a great plethora of our guests, and they come from all walks of life, and it really is like a cut of America when you come in here. And I think almost every article that's been written about us or whatever says we're probably the most diverse restaurant in Westchester.
I would agree with that.
And it's great because you see everybody kind of come together. And you know, there's a painting that I have in the restaurant. It's called A Circle of Friends. That's based off of the Matisse dance. Yeah, it's a painting over here. And you know, people have tried to buy it from me forever, but it's come to embody the restaurant. And so the Matisse the actual painting, it's all nude Caucasian dancers. And in 2008, when Obama won the election, I said, the White House will remain the White House. What's changed are the people in the White House. So I took 6 Matisse paintings and I made them multicultural. So that's people of different ethnicities in the circle. And it's come to embody the restaurant, and that's like our signature piece. And that's what I'm most proud of this restaurant, the diversity of people that's here, and they're all getting along. Especially right now with what's going on in the political climate, it's like, I think it's really great that we can have that experience here while you're breaking bread. You know, you can understand and empathize with somebody else's situation. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
I wanted to ask you about your legacy. I mean, you've been here for, you know, close to 20 years as a business. I think of you guys, I mean, I think of the restaurant, but I think of you two as a couple, as a, you know, the restaurant's a staple here in New Rochelle, but you guys as a couple, it's a staple here in New Rochelle. What do you hope your legacy to be?
You know, I don't, it's an interesting question. I don't really think about it in that terms. I think it's going to be whatever what we live, and what I'm going to leave it to other people to make that judgment of what we did for the community or whatever. I see it as like, there's a passion that I have, and I open this restaurant, and every day I come in, we come in, we do the best that we can do with it, and just help as many people as we can move up. I mean, I felt that, you know, I've stood on other people's shoulders, and it's time, while I'm doing this, for other people to stand on our shoulders, and I'm hoping whoever learned from us passes that on to somebody else. And that's because at the end of the day, the strength that we have as a community and passing on to each other is what makes us strong as a race. And so I think that's kind of how I look at it. It's not a selfish feeling of like, I want this to be said about me or whatever.
Got it.
It's like, just, we do what we do, and we try to do the best and hope that other people take example from that. And I want them to go and do what we do and basically show Black excellence. That's right. Because that's who we are. I really believe that that's who we are. Yeah. And if everybody tries to do that, I think will be where we need to be, you know.
And I think we're still working on our own little thing. I don't think this is not where it stops and starts for us.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Alvin's an artist. I have other things that I do on the side that probably will come bigger to light this year.
Yes.
Now that the kids are in college. And I think we're just, you know, like everyone else, just trying to find your purpose.
Yeah.
Like the word.
Yeah.
Stay on track to your purpose calling. And I think this restaurant was a great, was a good calling for us, only because it tied in not just, you know, passions put to work, but it brought in like ecosystems for, you know, like jobs. I mean, 27 people have jobs with us.
Sure. Yep.
it was a gathering place for film and comedy and entertainment when there wasn't any place that was really doing a lot of that.
No.
It's been a gathering place for a lot of the ladies after church.
Actually,
And we absolutely, I mean, I always, when we were having a real stressful day, I'm like, why did today go so well? The church ladies were here. They have a lot of like a little, they give us such power.
No,
even
you know
when
what?
we
I
were
gotta
like-
tell you though, I'll just jump in on that. I think there's like, you know,
So I
I
think
walk,
there's
first of all, I walk,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you know, this place was built on prayer. I really, I seriously believe that.
Yeah.
And I never try to take full credit for it because I feel that I'm just like the vehicle
And we've been
that God
friends.
used
Yes,
to
yeah.
do what we do.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that come in here that's rooting for us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I speak to like black people and you go to the table and you tell them that you own the restaurant and you see this pride in them. And I pick up also that they had sacrifices that they made so that I'm able to get this. And so it's a two-way street, and I've seen people like cry because they see the elegance and you know what we do here,
Wow.
and they're proud of that. And I'm genuinely thankful that they, you know, made sacrifices so that I can have this opportunity to do this, you know. So it's a two-way street, and it really is by God, you know.
And I will
It's
say
God.
that it's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's never,
Yes.
we can never go,
Yeah. Yeah.
never do that.
No.
When you
Changes
think you
every
got
day.
it, the roof will leak. So it's always, and then that's God too. 'Cause
Yes.
I like I said, the reality show. I mean, it was 8 degrees. We had a repast coming in, and we came in the building, and the heat was out,
It was so cold.
and I was like, oh my God. Wait a minute, breathe. This is gonna be, and so I literally, you know, I put an APB out. I call it APB. Actually, it was all HVC, all HVAC people in my list.
That's right.
And you know, they kind of all peppered in. Yeah, you know, for 25,000, for 5,000. And then I said, I need a boss. So one of my guys that comes in, he works in the Bronx. He oversees
Yeah.
project management. So I text him and
Yeah.
he said, I'll send somebody out. So this was the last guy to show up. This lone Jamaican guy.
Yeah.
He comes in, we have 45 minutes before game time. It's 8 degrees still in here. He comes in, he comes up on the roof, he talks to Alvin. Yeah, man, you know, he does his little talk. I mean, I couldn't hug him enough and give him enough warm food because I'm telling you, within 30 minutes,
He had it.
Wow.
he had the whole thing. Zoop, heat on, and
Yeah.
that if I just didn't have that boldness to just turn over every stone and just keep trying, the angel doesn't come.
Yeah.
If
Or in the
you
middle.
don't try,
Yeah.
if you don't give everything you have at that moment of crisis,
right.
I guarantee you it's going to be a namby-pamby.
That's right.
Or in
If
the
you
middle
go
of
all
summer
in-
when the air conditioning breaks down and everybody's complaining, and then I have to like say my prayers and go to the tables and say, "Welcome to the Caribbean restaurant."
Yeah, we've done that. You want us to be in the Caribbean restaurant?
We wanted you to really have a Caribbean experience today, you know. That's why it's hot like that. No worries.
Oh my God. You got to put everything in. You got to put
It's
in.
like, you know what?
You got- yeah,
It
you got all
doesn't
in.
always go
Oh.
smoothly, but it's how you
Wow.
handle it, you know.
And then the guests showed up and had the best time.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You know, it just sort
You
of
know,
makes all that hard work
Like
worth
we
it,
had one experience where like people were enjoying the place so much and no one wanted to leave, and I had like literally 25 people like standing at the bar waiting for reservations that they had, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And you know, people are still spending money, so I can't get them out of their seats. The experience. So I went to the kitchen. I was like, guys, do me a favor, make me a bunch of appetizers. They made appetizers. They came out. I said, folks, you're at a party at Alvin house, and we passed appetizers out. I bought drinks for them, and because if you're at a restaurant, you're hungry. So if you're eating and you feel like you're having a good time, it's good. Literally 80% of those people before they left came up to me directly to say thank you for handling that situation like that.
Yeah.
But you know, but it's things like that. But I think if you're like genuinely enjoy hospitality, that becomes easy for you to do, you know. And I tell people all the time, I grew up in the Caribbean with my grandmother, and I don't ever remember anybody coming into our house where, whether it's they're selling us whatever, that she said, can I offer you a little bit of biscuits, some tea, you know? So I get that honestly, you know, and it's about taking care of the people in your home.
Yeah,
so.
Alvin is brilliant with that.
Yes.
He can read a situation quick.
Well, this has been an amazing time, and you know, and my last question is, will you guys do it again? Can we come back again, and at some point, you know, I mean, because again, there's a movie. I heard a movie, or I heard a reality series on, you know, just your epic
it would have
experience.
worked with us not knowing anything. Now we're too savvy for that. We're too wise for the pitfalls the snakes and the vipers
Oh
that
my
are out the
gosh.
door now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
We're too wise for that.
No, we you know what, we
But we could
we enjoy
certainly help
doing
someone
this.
else.
Yeah.
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 And I actually
Happy
would
to-
love to do, like, you know, some consulting
Yeah.
if people are interested in doing
Yeah.
this, you know,
That
come
would
to
be
us, because there's so many things that we've learned and that we can share with other people. And so I'll be more than happy to be a consultant. And this one, we're making sure that it's on solid grounds always. And, you know, I'd love to have somebody do Sheila and Friends, or and we'll love to kick it with you, Brother Omar, anytime, man.
No,
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. I think that we talked about that a little bit about, is Alvin and Friends going global, you know?
Yeah.
And
I think that would be the way to do it, only because, like, I spend so much time taking care of this one, and when people come in here, they want to see Alvin. You know, I can't be in Alvin and Friends and people wondering, oh, who's Alvin or where's Alvin? So I think that the way to do it would be, you know, for us to franchise what we do,
Cameras and blades.
and kind of like, you know, I'll go in and help show somebody how to get one of these up and going, use the formula that we have now that we've actually, you know, perfected, but we're still working on over the years. And it would be that person and friends, you know, and they'll have their ambiance or whatever
Sure.
it is that they bring to something
Okay.
for their community. And I think that's the best way to do it, because then it becomes authentic,
got it.
you know.
And there are a lot of little things that, like I remember when we had this table, this was not supposed to be the community table. We had something different in mind. And when we were going to put it in, I think you argued against it, and we kind of tabled it amongst our friends. And we realized there's a lot of single people who, when they come to a restaurant, like, they may not have a date to sit with, but if they're sitting at the community table, whoever else is here is now become their date, so to speak.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to tap into here. We've had many a couples that have met each other and got engaged. I kid you not.
Wow.
Yes, and we had this, we used to have a language meetup here.
Oh, yeah.
That was brilliant, because whatever language you spoke, and if you were learning one,
We had
you
it
had
on
to
a
bring
Sunday,
it.
yeah.
And you would find somebody that you could practice with. It was such a great idea. This table splits, it becomes, I mean, it's just been a, lack of a better term, maybe some days, you know, it's like Alvin and Friends on Broadway, because we really had to change a set and make a stage, and just, you know, it's made it all very fun. So
Okay.
and we, like I said,
That's
the
three
journey
ideas.
along the way is, you know, people think, oh, it's the money. No, you don't stack up the money. The journey has been the gift.
Yeah.
The journey is absolutely the people and so if you go into this business, it's like people going into medicine. You better really love it.
Yes.
If you don't really love people and their human experience, find yourself another gig,
Yes.
because this is what it's all about.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
really
you, Omar.
appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Informs, uplifts, and elevates, and inspires, takes you higher.